been theorizing for years.
Until recently, the timeline of our species seemed clear. Every man on Earth could trace his ancestry back to genetic Adam. Every woman back to genetic Eve. The earliest fossil evidence goes back 195,000 years to Homo 1. 300,000 years ago lived a forerunner of our species in Jebel Irhoud. But this Y chromosome was older than all of them. A piece of modern human DNA that was 338,000 years old. Potentially a new start date for our species.
When the results came, I was excited. Now his name is in the book. Can you imagine, from a slave, unknown, kind of like somebody's property, and all of a sudden it's known around the world.
To understand more about the A00Y chromosome, geneticists need more samples. Matthew Fomina Forca is the local researcher who did the initial sampling in Mbeta village.
I've come here because this is the Kwambo community where I collected DNA samples 12 years ago. The sample were analyzed and realized that the population has the 11 samples who belong to the A00, implying that those A00 which were found here have contributed to the beginning of humanity. Today, we are continuing the DNA collection that has started in 2001. I am going to swab their mouth with a sterile cotton.
Unfortunately, the climate of Cameroon is too wet to preserve ancient human fossils. So DNA is the only way to find out if our species really did emerge here. But there is another possibility. Another reason for the age of the A00Y chromosome. Perhaps we inherited it from a different species of human. Although we are now the only humans on the planet, it was not always this way. For tens of thousands of years, the forests of Africa would have been shared between modern humans and archaic humans. It's been assumed there was little, if any, contact between them. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if DNA passed from one species of human to another?
There may have been archaic forms of humans that lived in Western Africa that happened upon modern populations, and this Y chromosome was introduced into the modern population through interbreeding.
Although modern humans were a distinct species, they seem to have mated with other, older species of human and picked up parts of their DNA.
That would help to explain why we found a 338,000-year-old Y chromosome in a very small pocket of humanity in Western Cameroon. For the last 100 years or so, it's been very convenient to think that humans originated in a very simple way in the Garden of Eden. But now we know from the DNA itself that matings between different forms, archaic forms, modern forms, and going on, who knows how long that's going back in time. which in fact makes us a lot more like the rest of nature.
Something similar has shown up in southern Cameroon. These rainforests are home to the pygmies. They are some of the last traditional hunter-gatherers on Earth, living in much the same way as they have for 100,000 years, finding food wherever they can. Genetically, the pygmies are as close as anyone to Africa's first modern humans. And their DNA is very revealing. Rather than looking only at the Y chromosome or mitochondria, geneticists can now analyze 6 billion fragments across the entire pygmy genome. And they're finding regions that are so ancient and